All right, here we go. Janelle dropped a huge bomb on Kody, calling Robyn his sacred cow. She really laid it out there.
Yeah, and I have to say, she's probably not wrong. Kody seems like he's put all his chips in with Robyn, especially now that he's drifted from his faith. Do you think he's grasping onto his relationship with Robyn because it's the only thing he's got left?
That's what I'm thinking. With his faith slipping, it's like he needs something to hold on to. And Robyn's filling that void. But it makes you wonder, has Kody shifted from being devoted to a religious belief to then being devoted to a person instead? And is that healthy for anyone involved?
Exactly. This is where we get into whether Janelle hit the nail on the head or if there's even more going on that she doesn't see yet. Let's break down what's really happening and why Robyn might be his new sacred obsession.
Welcome back, everyone. My name is Sam.
And I'm Melissa.
I was raised in a family with 4 moms and 35 kids. We were members of the FLDS Church, which is a polygamous group run by their prophet Warren Jeffs, who is now serving a life sentence in prison.
I was raised mainstream LDS in Utah. Sam and I have been married for 10 years and have 2 awesome kiddos.
Yes, we do. We want to quickly thank our donors, YouTube members, patrons on Patreon, and all of our wonderful subscribers. We have a goal, a huge goal, of reaching 100,000 subscribers by the end of this year. So if you haven't already, please don't forget to like and subscribe.
Yes, today we are back with Sister Wives. I can't believe it's already episode 8.
It's crazy.
It just time flies when you are watching Dumpster Fire. So this one has a lot more. Janelle's really the focus, this awkward talk that we have with Kody and Janelle. But first, we do have to mention Christine is having her kids meet with David. They are having dinner together. It is really funny to watch her kids' reaction to their PDA, they're being affectionate, they're talking about weddings very quickly, they're planning dates.
This is interesting for me because if I put myself in these kids' shoes, because I was raised in a home with 4 moms, running around all the time, and I saw them kiss my father once in a while, a quick peck on the lips as he was on his way to work, but I didn't really see a lot of affection like you're seeing with Christine and David here. I never saw that. I cannot imagine seeing my mother all of a sudden with a new guy and just lovey-dovey, kissy. Oh, my God. See,
Christine's trying to make up for lost time.
Yeah, I would definitely feel very uncomfortable. So I do feel for these kids. Not saying it's a bad thing, but I can understand where they're coming from, that it's uncomfortable.
And I think most of them even admit that, right? They're like, we're happy for her. We're happy that she's happy. It's a little awkward. It's pretty fast, but as long as she's happy. So it's cute to see all of her kids are trying to support her in it, even though they are all kind of taken aback by it, right?
Well, and obviously they can see how happy it makes her. Their mom is very happy. So, you can't really say something negative about seeing your mom so happy.
Yeah. One big scene is them going and ring shopping, right? They've already looked at venues. They've talked about getting married. They are not engaged yet. And I thought this was interesting because I was kind of curious from all of you viewers whether or not you went ring shopping or if it was a surprise, because Christine talked about the fact that her ring was a surprise from Kody. And I feel like that's pretty typical is for people to be surprised with their engagement ring or not, though, because we went ring shopping.
Yeah.
And I had picked out the ring I liked, and then it was a surprise when he popped the question.
We didn't purchase it at that time either. So I tried to keep it all cool and casual. And, that's the one you like? Interesting. Okay. All right, well, let's go grab some dinner.
I knew I was picking my ring, though. I just didn't know when he was going to propose.
When I was going to get the ring and then propose later. So I tried to keep some surprise in it. But it seems like it's becoming more and more common, at least let us know if you guys feel otherwise, that people are going and showing what they like, and then the proposal happens after that.
Yeah, and I'm also curious, at first Christine was like, oh, maybe I'll pick a couple and then you can pick from it, but then she had just ended up designing one, right? So if you're going to design one, I think a lot of times couples do that together. Anyway, I was very curious what all of your experiences were. If you went ring shopping, did you go and pick a couple and then let the guy decide which one, or what did that look like for you? But it was fun to watch Christine get to do that. And again, this whole experience for her just seems like she's getting to do it the way that she always has wanted to do it, and that it was just never an option with basically her previous life.
Yeah. It was funny as well that one of them asked, was it Tony? One of them asked if David had asked permission from her father, whether or not it was okay. And it was just funny because he said, I actually did. He's very traditional. He went and spoke to her dad. And he's like, yeah, he just told me, yeah, sure, whatever. I don't care, basically. So I don't know. It's interesting.
But it was cute watching them go through all of the traditional, going from such a non-traditional lifestyle to trying to fulfill all the traditions, you know, like Christine was saying, having the bridal shower and walking down the aisle. And I think they're just trying to check off as many traditional things as they possibly can.
She deserves
which is
it.
Cute.
I'm happy that they're happy, and it seems like everything is going well for them. So
yeah. The next thing was watching Mary get her carriage house all done and remodeled in Parowan,
Utah.
Yeah, as she's adjusting to life in Parowan. And it was also fun to get to see her get her own space. You know, she says she's not quite ready to be out there on the prowl for her true love, but she's fun to see her.
What I am liking as I see Mary, it seems like that when Kody, obviously the catfish thing was a whole side note that I won't even get into that. But aside from that, when Kody stopped giving her the attention that she needed and felt that was required in a marriage, which of course is required to have some attention from your spouse, but she has surrounded herself by a lot of good friends. And it seems like that she is not alone. She's not married anymore, but she's not alone. She's got a lot of people surrounding her, and we could see how happy they were for her and how happy she was to see some of her dreams coming true with getting this carriage house finished.
Yeah, it made me happy when she sat at the counter in the middle of her carriage house and she was like, well, if you're not being invited to the table, you just need to build your own table, right? And she's like getting to be the head of her own table and decide who's going to be there and only be at a table with people that she wants to be involved with and that also want her. And I thought that was kind of cool and symbolic of her getting to like start her own fresh life.
Yeah, and empowering for someone like her that has felt like she did not have control over so many things growing up in this fundamentalist type religion with a patriarchy type belief system.
Yeah.
You know, it's got to be very empowering for her to finally be able to say, this is my table, I'll invite who I want, and I'm in charge, you know? So it was fun to see all that.
Yes. So we're loving seeing all the empowered women. Then we get to the great awkward. I think all of us have been waiting for this final talk between Janelle and Kody, right? All of us have been like, when is the final talk? Like with Mary, it felt like it was over forever. Then they had the final talk in the end of last season. And I think all of us have been waiting for this. What's funny though is going into it, it seems like Janelle is not interested in having a final talk about their relationship because she even mentions like, I'm here because I want to talk about Coyote Pass. I want to talk about business. And Kody is like, okay, but should we talk about us first? And I don't know if that was like the producers saying, hey,
or
all the
if he
fans
actually wants to.
Yeah, like, hey, the fans really want to know what's going on because obviously they're over. Janelle even mentions, you know, he talks about, oh, well, I was just curious where we are with the relationship. And she's like, Kody, we're not even in the same universe. Like, she said he hasn't been to her house, like as a wife, like a husband, wife, going to her house in 2 years.
Yeah. And then he is saying, wait, what do you mean? What do you mean we can't work this out? And I'm thinking, Kody, hello. If you haven't, I mean, come on, your actions are speaking pretty loudly here. You don't have to say our relationship is done if you haven't gone over to see her in 2 years. It's pretty obvious what's going on here. So I don't know if he actually thought that there would be, if Janelle had said in that moment, you know what, yes, I do want to work this out. What would Kody's reaction have been? I don't think he actually has whatever it takes to work things out, and especially because of the way that he has been treating Janelle's kids, which are his kids as well, and he has obviously created this huge divide, and Janelle is simply choosing her kids.
Yeah, she said that. She's like, Kody, I'm always going to pick my children. And Kody tried to mention, you know, asking like, well, why didn't Maddie talk to me about her pregnancy? And Janelle, I think, did a great job in this conversation of like stating facts, saying, well, you haven't seen the kids in so long and you're not reaching out. So she didn't feel like she needed to share that with you if you don't have a relationship. But other than that, I'm staying out of it. There wasn't going to be back and forth, which I thought was really awesome of her for kind of standing her ground and being like, I'm not going to get in between you and the kids. You can figure that out with them. I will always be on their side. That's where I stand. And that has made it very clear that by me being with my kids, our relationship's over.
Yeah, and during that talk, when they're referring to Maddie not, letting Kody know about her pregnancy and all that, Kody just mentioned something along the lines of, oh yeah, drama and gossip, something along those lines when referring to Maddie. And something that stood out to me is Janelle said, oh, there's much more than that. There's much more to it than just that. And I think that is very telling that the reason that there's not a relationship between Maddie and her dad, Kody, is because of something much bigger than just the simple fact that, oh, Maddie's looking for some gossip to spread around the family. And I don't know what all those things are, but we obviously know there's much more to that.
Yeah, well, and I think Kody he's tried so hard since COVID to put his kids in these boxes, right? Like, will go along with what I want and be loyal to me and my thoughts and feelings or not.
Yeah.
And everybody who's not and doesn't fall perfectly into his little box that he was hoping for is instantly not loyal and is wanting to gossip and wanting to cause drama. And so that's what's causing everything. And then he just writes them off rather than actually finding the root of why any of these other issues. Because it's never that easy when it comes to interpersonal relationships, right? Or relationships within families. It's never going to be as easy as just this one thing that happened.
And speaking of loyalty and Janelle and Kody, they brought up you betrayed me, Janelle. You betrayed me. And Melissa and I were talking about this, and we just find this so fascinating because they're raised in this family with 4 wives, and not always in the same home, but for some of the time in the same home, raising their kids together as one family unit. And then Kody puts them in this position where you need to disregard of each other and choose me. And he said, you betrayed me, Janelle, because you basically chose Christine over me. There should have never had been this, you have to choose. He should have never put Janelle in that position, that if you continue to be friends with Christine, then I don't want anything to do with you. That's kind of what it seemed like.
Yeah.
Like, if Christine leaves me, you should never talk to her again, is kind of the ultimatum that it seemed like he gave her. And just because she chose to continue to be friends with Christine, who was going through a very difficult time in her life, trying to completely change everything and find happiness again, then all of a sudden Janelle is betraying me and I don't want anything to do with her ever again.
Well, and at the same time, like even before that, Kody was barely going to Janelle's house, right? Like even before Christine left, he was already pushing Janelle aside and making sure that Robyn and her kids were his priority. Now, in this episode, it was interesting that Kody actually mentions that he has started feeling guilt about the fact that now his only relationship is with Robyn and his children with Robyn, and that he doesn't have the relationship. And he even used the words, which I thought was very interesting, because when Janelle brings up religion, Kody says, okay, let's not mess around with that BS, like kind of implying like we know neither one of us are religious. However, when he's talking about how he feels guilty about not having a relationship with his kids, he said that he went and he covenanted with God to be a loving father again like he used to be. So I'm like, okay, so on one hand, you're saying that you're reaching out and covenanting, which is a very, and I'm sure, a very religious term, right? Mm-hmm. And especially within Mormonism and within temples and sealings, they're all considered covenants, right? Mm-hmm. So you're saying you're covenanting with God to be a better husband, but then when Janelle brings up that she's wondering if she needs to go get a release from their sealing, he's kind of laughing and being like, let's not pretend that we're religious and that we need that kind of release.
Yeah, so, I'm very curious, and it's hard to know in this show. I'm very curious if his so-called covenanting with God, that he's going to be a better dad, came before or after this conversation with Janelle. I'm under the impression that this covenanting thing came after this conversation with Janelle. That's my thought.
And they might have just flipped it for the show.
Yes, because in the show it was the other way around. So I'm thinking that maybe in more recent times he's coming to this. Hopefully he actually does something about it, by the way. I mean, that would be amazing. I know a lot of our viewers and a lot of other people are probably thinking, oh, there's no way he's going to change his ways. I mean, and maybe you're right, but man, it'd be nice if he actually did try to step up and do something a little different.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, during this whole conversation, like I said, I think Janelle did a really good job of staying calm. The couple times that Kody tries to get out of her, well, what's the problem? Like, where are problems lying? And Janelle tries to bring up the favoritism towards Robyn, and Kody shuts it down. Mm-hmm. And that's when Janelle talks about the fact that she's like, Robyn is your sacred cow. That is not to be talked about, which, by the way, the headlines about this were hilarious. Like, before we watched the episode, I was seeing,
we're like, what?
Janelle calls Robyn a cow. And I'm like, what is going on? Like, what is happening? And then when we saw it, I'm like, a sacred cow.
That's very different because it's a term used that this person is untouchable. Mm-hmm. You cannot talk bad about this person. You cannot even criticize or do anything negatively towards this person because they are a sacred cow. I think that's where Janelle was going with all of this. And so many people took it like, oh, calling Robyn a cow. That was definitely clickbait. Definitely a different direction with that.
I actually, when I first heard her refer to Robyn as a sacred cow, my first thought was to go back to the Bible story of the golden calf, which is a little bit different. You know, sacred cow meaning untouchable. And the golden calf in the Bible, it's talked about that, you know, Moses gets the 10 Commandments, and when he comes back, they were looking for gods to worship. And I believe it was Aaron created this golden calf for them to worship. And so I kind of had my stories a little bit mixed between religions, but I kind of brought it back to Christianity in the sense of if Kody is worshiping everything that Robyn does, whether Robyn tries to deny it or not. She tried to say, oh, everyone knows that Kody has his own mind and they think that it's this new thing that I can control him. Well, we all know that Robyn has influence because Kody actually finds her as his true partner in life, right? So you're going to value their opinion, whether they have manipulative intentions or not, okay? Robyn and Kody are definitely a team in whatever they're trying to accomplish in life. It seems to be. But I'm like, it's interesting that she said a sacred cow, or in my mind, a golden calf, in the sense of him choosing to look towards her and ignore all of his religious duties and obligations. And he's talked a lot about the fact that his other marriages were like he was doing his duty, right? But I feel like it almost does feel like shifting from this religious belief of polygamy and equality between wives and trying to live a life that's going to line up with those values to this idol.
Interesting.
To the golden calf.
It's interesting that your mind went there, and I guess it kind of makes sense. You know, golden calf, sacred cow. You know, sounds similar, but that is interesting. And I also find it interesting too because, to your point, Robyn will say something like, "Are you kidding me? I'm not in charge of Kody's actions and what he does. Have you met Kody Brown?" No, I haven't, but I've heard a lot of things he said. And what I'm gathering here is that Kody, in 2 episodes ago, I believe, says something along the lines of whatever these women do, whatever they do is controlling me. It's their fault if I love them. It's their fault if I don't love them. So I don't know, Robyn. If you are forcing him to love you, it sounds like you're in complete control here, and therefore, golden calf or whatever. It's kind of confusing and back and forth and all over the place. But honestly, I think the use of the term that Janelle used, sacred cow, is very fitting in this situation. Because anytime any of the other wives even try to mention Robyn, he just says, whoa, no. You cannot even mention her name, basically. So I just find that that use of the term very fitting in this case.
Yeah, and it also made me think more when I was thinking of the golden calf or just idolatry in general, right? Which is very anti-Christian. Right, is to have idols to worship. And thinking of Robyn as an idol, something that Kody worships or someone, it made me think that in the marriages, I think there can also be things or other people that can become people's golden calf in a way that ruins relationships. So in this case, in the Brown family, if Robyn is this sacred cow that's untouchable, you can't talk about it, opens up a whole can of worms anytime it's brought up. Makes it so that you can't have open communication in these other relationships, right? What are some other things in marriages? Maybe it's sports, maybe it's other family members, maybe it's relationships with moms. You hear of that, where like people can't not cut ties with your mom, but like choosing your spouse over extended family, things like that. And kind of brought me to what I think we wanted to ask you guys of our question of the week, which is, have you ever been in a relationship where someone did have the sacred cow? Whether it's a person, whether it's a thing, whether it's something they were obsessed with, something that would always cause a wedge in your relationship that was untouchable to them because it was so important to them, but ended up hurting your relationship.
Yeah. Man, we do hear of things like that in different relationships and different family dynamics where there's this one thing that nobody can bring up, or else it just starts a big fight.
Yeah.
And is there anything? Yeah.
So let us know in the comments below. Let us know if you've been in a relationship that has had a sacred cow or a golden calf.
Very interested to hear what you have to say about that. Thank you all so much for being here with us again, and we look forward to talking with you soon.
We'll talk to y'all soon.